I am gonna get your help in the kitchen a little bit.
Ooh, you're trusting me?
I'm trusting you.
I got the control.
You got the control.
Okay.
You're man in the stove.
Okay.
But whenever we do Mother's Day, I feel like brunch is kind of a classic, right?
Brunch was made for Mother's Day.
1000%.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I might be right in saying that the first thing I ever made for you was for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And it was breakfast.
Yeah, you had your little Dr. Denton sleepers on.
There you go.
Yeah.
It was probably like, I don't know, two or three.
Yeah.
Tell them what I made.
Cornflakes with water.
Yeah.
And a banana that she wasn't allowed to cut.
No.
And she brought it upstairs to my bed. I was asleep, and I ate it.
Yes, you did. And that is a good mom right there. I wasn't old enough to pour milk, and I've always been a rule follower.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, tap water on
fussy.
cornflakes, and we're good to go.
It was good.
She ate it, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So don't worry, things have gotten better.
Worked. It worked.
Yeah.
But you can happen.
But I wanted to put two things together that we both love, and one is Spanakopita, because we love
yes.
a Spanakopita.
Yeah.
But then make it into like a quiche, so make it perfect for breakfast time. I know.
Two of my faves.
I know, I'm very excited about
Lots of crust and dough going on.
She loves the crust.
Yeah, I love
She
it.
said you put anything in a crust and she'll eat it.
I know.
So we're good to go. Okay, so we're gonna get started on that beautiful spinachy filling. So Mom,
Okay.
on the stove, I need about 2 tablespoons of olive oil into that pan. It's over medium heat.
Okay.
Do you wanna drizzle that on in?
Yeah, you have to tell me.
Okay, let's see if she can do
2 tablespoons?
2 tablespoons. We're
See,
going.
I think that's 2
That
tablespoons.
is absolutely not 2 tablespoons.
Keep going.
Keep on going. 2
I
tablespoons
think that a big tablespoon.
I would say that's about 2 tablespoons.
Really?
Yeah, I know. It's more than you think. If you want to do less, you can, but we like oil in our house, so we're going to go big. All right, now into there, I'm going in with an onion that I've just diced up.
Okay.
So I'm going to go in with that.
Yeah.
And Mom, do you mind seasoning up with some salt and a little bit of pepper?
Yeah.
Give it a stir, and you just want to cook that down over medium heat for about 5 minutes, just until it's nice and tender, a little bit golden brown. If things start getting caramelized, that's just more
Can I
flavor.
put my fingers in here?
Yeah, get your fingies in there. Okay, perfect. Myra Berg, you like salt. Put a little more salt than that.
I way too much salt.
She loves salt.
I
Okay.
know.
Now, while those onions do their thing, I'm going to get to work on the herbs. Because Spanakopita, yes, is about spinach, but it's really about herbs. Now, the first thing I'm going to add in is 3 tablespoons of dill. Mom?
Yeah.
So my mom does not love dill. She thinks she doesn't love dill. This is a lie. You do
I
like
love
dill.
dill pickles.
She loves dill pickles. Anytime
but-
I put dill in anything, she's in love with it.
I mean, look, it is hairy.
She thinks it's hairy.
I don't like the texture.
So if you have someone who thinks, I don't agree personally, but if you do have someone like that, just chop it real finely, and hopefully we won't be able to find those little hairy bits. So I'm gonna chop this up. Hopefully fine enough that my mom can't find it, and it'll be good. And I'm just gonna add that on into a bowl. So you want about 3 tablespoons of fresh dill. Dill is really tasty.
It does. It tastes okay.
But it's the texture. I understand.
Actually, I think I do like the taste. I just don't like the texture.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we win
I'm
some, we lose
fussy.
some. Yeah, she's fussy. All right, and I'm also going to go in with 2 tablespoons of parsley. That's going to bring really nice bright green flavor.
I'm good with parsley.
You are good with parsley. Now, I will say, if you've ever watched me cook, you know that my measurements of herbs are very devil-may-care. Because measure with your heart. Herbs are delicious. If you want to add more or less, feel free. I like a good amount of herbs, so I'm going a little bit big. So in we go with that beautiful parsley as well. Then I'm going to season this up with a little bit of chili. So we like things spicy in our house.
Yeah, we like the spice.
We like spice. So I'm going in with just some dried red pepper flakes, and I'm going in with about a 1/2 teaspoon. You could do more or less depending on your spice preference, but we're going to go a little big because we like that little bit of heat in there. All right, now into there, I'm also going to go in with some lemon zest. Zest at this point will be beautiful. Just the zest of 1 lemon is gonna bring a really nice brightness into this. It sounds kind of strange because we are gonna make this into a quiche, but trust me, it works beautifully. So I'm gonna add that right on in. And then into there, we need to go in with one of my favorite ingredients, and that is, nutmeg, but I don't have any pockets today. Mom, do you have any nutmeg?
That's what cups are for.
That's what cups are for. Okay.
I got it.
We've coined a new thing. Cup it. We got it. All right, that little bit of nutmeg gives a little bit of lemoniness, super, super tasty and wonderful. So I'm just gonna add that right on in.
Delicious.
Isn't that nice?
That smells so good.
I know, and onions always smell good. Mom, this is the best onion saute I've ever seen. Really nicely done. Really nicely done. All right,
And
Mom.
I say I don't cook.
All right, now into those onions, I'm gonna go in with a couple cloves of garlic. So
Okay.
I'm just using my rasp, and I'm just gonna go straight on into the pan. Lately, my garlic has been massive, so I'm gonna just go in with 1 clove because this is about the size of a golf ball.
It is big,
right?
yeah.
But if you have smaller garlic, feel free to add in 2 or even more if you're like a big garlic fan. That's just gonna go in. You want that to cook down for just about, I'd say 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
So while you're doing that, Mom, I'm gonna keep adding into this herb bowl. So I've got all
Okay.
those herbs, that
Ooh.
flavor. Do you smell the garlic?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
a good
good.
thing. I've got 200 grams of frozen spinach here that I've thawed out in a sieve and squeezed all that water out. I'm gonna add that on into the bowl just to do its thing. Then we're going in with a weird amount of feta cheese.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
We're going in with
Salt.
250 grams of feta. Listen, if you're making something for my mom, you go big on the feta cheese.
Yes, yeah.
Feta cheese is an integral ingredient we always have in our house, right?
Yeah, you put it on vegetables and all sorts of
Salads,
things. Yeah,
everything.
all sorts of things.
All right, I'm gonna go in with a little bit of lemon juice too. That's gonna brighten things up. And then I'm gonna give that a mix. Mom, would you bring those onions over? Because I'm gonna add those in here as well.
Do I get to add them?
You add them up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, get it, girl.
Okay, I'm cooking.
There you go, she's cooking.
I got it all in there.
Nice.
Little burny, but
No,
that's
those are
okay.
perfect. That's just a little caramelized. Okay, so that's the base of the filling. I'm gonna add the eggs later, but real quick, I wanna chat to you about the crust. Now, yeah, thanks, Mom, nicely done. For the crust, we are not doing a puff pastry, we're not doing a classic pastry. We are gonna use the Spanakopita classic, which is phyllo. So you get this in the freezer
yeah.
section at the grocery store. Never try to make it yourself. It's not gonna go well. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
But we need to add butter to it because it's a really lean pastry. So you do need to add the butter later, unlike
okay.
a flaky pastry. So I've got some sheets here. You want about 10. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little bit of melted butter, and by a little bit, I mean a third of a cup. And we are going to brush that onto that phyllo. Now, a lot of people will tell you to be really delicate, but honestly, if it starts ripping, it's just gonna give you more flaky layers.
Texture.
Texture,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Mom, do you mind carefully draping this into there?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. She's gonna, nicely done. Nice, Mom, perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
That was perfect. All right, I am gonna keep brushing these layers of phyllo. We're gonna layer in about 3 on the bottom and then bring some around the sides. You need about 10 in total. We're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, my mom gets to dig into a delicious little quiche.
Yum.
My mom, Myra, and we're celebrating Mother's Day today, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, what a pleasure.
Go team.
Yeah.
Go team. Okay. Now, before the break, Mom, you were helping me whip up my beautiful Spanakopita quiche, which kind of combines 2 things that we both know and love.
Yes,
Breakfast food and Spanakopita.
And dough.
And dough and
Yeah.
pie. I was going to say, Myra wants a pie most of the time. So we've got that beautiful spinach mixture made. And then I've also finished up with my mom's wonderful help, this beautiful phyllo situation. It looks like a mess right now, but this is what it's supposed to look like. You want all those sheets overhanging on the edge because we're going to almost make this into like a little bit of a crown.
Oh.
Because you deserve a little crown
Queen
today.
for a day.
100%. A queen for a day. 365 for
It's an
Myra
old
Berg.
show. Yeah,
no
exactly
big deal.
it is.
But I'm gonna work on the egg mixture now. So I've got 3 eggs in this bowl. I'm gonna add in 2 more. So basically, you want 5 eggs for this quiche. And then into there, I'm gonna go in with about a cup of any sort of dairy you've got hanging around. If you're a cream family, feel free to use that. You could also just use milk. I personally like the cream, adds a little bit more richness into the dish. But anytime I'm adding dairy into eggs, even if I'm just making French toast, I always give the eggs a little bit of a head start, because otherwise you're just chasing that yolk around the bowl.
You taught me that.
I hate that.
No more chasing yolks.
No more chasing
Nope.
yolks. All right, I'm going in also with about a cup of that dairy. Add that on in. And I'm just giving it a good whisk while I'm going, just to make sure it's nice and incorporated. I'm gonna season that up with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper as well. We don't need too much salt though, because remember we put 250 grams of feta in this filling.
Salty.
And that is the salt
Yeah,
of the cheese world
it
for
is.
sure. All right, that's looking beautiful. Now what I wanna do is combine this egg mixture with all of this delicious filling. So we've got that beautiful spinach, we've got that beautiful little bit of herbs in there, the chili, the little bit of lemon zest, which sounds like it might be a little funny in the egg, but it works so well. It just makes it nice and bright and fresh. So give that a good mix together just to combine. Then all you need to do is pour this beautiful quiche filling, which is like chock-a-block full of cheese, right on into this pastry. So we've made a beautiful base. We're just gonna add that right on in. If you wanted to here, you could also add in bacon. That would be delicious, but
yeah.
we're sticking with just spinach. And then for that crown, what you wanna do is kind of grab the edges and just kind of rumple them up and over top. So don't cover the quiche totally. Leave a little bit of a crown around. That's gonna give you ultra crispy, flaky layers.
It's gonna look so
Doesn't
pretty.
it already look so pretty?
Yeah,
I know.
it does.
Little bit of extra butter is always a good thing. If you wanted to here, you could throw some sesame seeds on here as well.
Oh, yeah.
Now, for a little bit of insurance, pop your pan onto another pan just in case any of that third of a cup of butter leaks out. You don't want to have to clean
It does that,
It does
yeah,
that sometimes. And I'm going to pop that into a 350-degree oven for about 40 to 50 minutes. It takes a good long time to get that good crisp. But when it is done, you are left with something that looks like this, which is a total showstopper.
Oh my goodness.
Like, can you even deal?
Oh,
It is crunchy, it is crispy.
and it's easy.
And it's genuinely so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The longest thing it takes is in the oven, but that's the oven doing all the work.
Yeah. It looks so special.
Do you wanna hear the crunch?
Yes.
Okay, this is the best part of a Spanakopita. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
Do you hear that crispy?
yeah, that's nice and
That
crispy,
is what
crunchy.
you were looking for. So give it a good little crispy crunch. And this is so much easier than making pastry. Mom, you hate making pastry.
I did. It's too messy.
It's too messy.
Too much mess.
This is not messy. Look at that
Oh my
filling.
gosh! And look how it folds together.
I know.
I know. That's
Beautiful. Now, in our house, what we would do, we always have tzatziki on hand. Like
Yes.
it's our favorite dip.
Yeah.
So this sounds strange again, but a little bit of tzatziki right on the side for a little Dunkin' is a dream because we do love a dunk in our house. All right, Mom, you want to give it a taste?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
Okay. Take the easy part. 'cause
There you
I'm
go.
on television.
Look at all that cheese.
Oh. Oh, the lemon.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, the lemon.
Do you see her also immediately going for the crust? Yeah. Classic, Mom. I love it
really
so
good.
much. Okay,
Oh,
well,
so good.
listen, I'll make you breakfast anytime. Waffles. Delicious. Everyone loves a waffle. You know, you wake up on a Saturday morning and you're like, that'd be great. A really crispy, delicious pancake that's a waffle. And it's got all those little nooks and crannies for the butter and the syrup and everything to get in. Love a waffle. But guess what? You don't have any buttermilk, let alone a waffle iron. Or maybe you're just like me and you don't want to dig out your waffle iron because it's definitely at the back of that cupboard on top of the fridge. No. So I wanted to show you how to make my grill pan waffles. So we're gonna use not a waffle iron, we're gonna use a grill pan to get those classic kind of ridges and little nooks and crannies to get the syrup and the butter all in there, good and crispy and totally wonderful. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That's gonna come in a little bit later, but first off, we gotta get to work on the actual batter for these waffles. Now, the first thing we need is buttermilk. Now, I do typically have buttermilk on hand because I love buttermilk. I feel very like Bing Crosby in White Christmas. I'm not drinking a glass of buttermilk because gross, but I do love having buttermilk on hand. But if you don't have any, it's an easy thing to make a substitute for. So I'm gonna show you how to make a really quick and easy buttermilk substitute. So I've got just a measuring cup here. For this recipe, you need about 1.5 cups of buttermilk. So I'm gonna show you how to make a version of basically acidified milk to kind of mimic that buttermilk. So I've got a 2-cup glass measuring cup here, and into there I'm gonna go in with a little bit of vinegar. You can use white vinegar, you could use apple cider vinegar, you could also use lemon juice. Basically, you just wanna add something that's gonna acidify the milk because that's gonna help it react better with the baking soda and baking powder, giving you extra lift and a little bit of tang. So into there, I'm going in, the ratio is about 2 teaspoons of acid per cup of milk. So since I need 1.5 cups, that means I need about 3 teaspoons of that vinegar. Into there, I'm gonna go on top with some milk. Now, you could do it the other way around, but this is an easy way to make sure you get the exact amount you're looking for. So I'm gonna pour that milk just until it reaches the 1.5 cup or 12-ounce mark. Perfect. Now, when I pour that milk in, that kind of acts to mix in that acid. Sometimes I'll do it the other way, where I'll add the milk and then the vinegar in, but then you kind of get this weird clump where that acid goes in and acidifies. This makes sure everything's mixed together before you even need to stir it. So that's good to go. Now, if you want to, you can leave this aside to let it thicken up. That acid reacts with that milk, giving it a little bit of a different texture, which does help the end result. If you don't have time now, this will still do the trick if you need to use it right away. But I'm gonna give it a second and work on the dry ingredients for these waffles. So the first thing I need for my waffles is 1.25 cups of all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour is great. It gives a nice like lightness into your waffles. Really, really tasty. Perfect. Now, for a bit of nuttiness, I'm going in with half a cup of whole wheat flour. If you don't have whole wheat flour, you can also do another half cup of that all-purpose. But I love using whole wheat flour. I don't want to replace all the all-purpose, though, because it does make for a really heavy waffle. And, like, you want a light, fluffy waffle on the inside, crispy on the outside, right? So that little bit gives you that little bit of fiber. It makes you feel a little better about the fact that you're having cake, essentially, for breakfast. It's a good thing. All right, now into there, we're gonna go in with 3 tablespoons of sugar, just to give this a little bit of sweetness. That's also gonna enhance the browning of the waffle. So 3 tablespoons of that goes right on into my bowl. I was having real waffle cravings and like pancake situations. I made pancakes on the weekend. They're pretty good, but honestly, I wanted a waffle. So I should have just done this. So, you know, we're good to go. All right, give that a whisk. And then we're gonna go in with those leavening agents. Since we made that buttermilk, we wanna use basically like chemical leaveners. So not like yeast, like a Belgian waffle, but we're going in with baking soda and baking powder. So for the baking powder, which is this one, we're going in with 2 teaspoons of that. Also, if you ever get confused, baking powder looks more powdery. Baking soda is kind of shiny. Does that make sense to anybody? Yeah. People are always like, how can you tell? And I'm like, you can tell if you look close enough. All right, into there, I'm also gonna go in with about half a teaspoon of salt just to counteract that sugar. Give that a whisk together. If you want here, you could add in some cinnamon, some sort of spice. That would be beautiful as well. A little bit of nutmeg would give this like a, I don't have any pockets today, but this would give it a really nice kind of donut flavor. So hot tip, do that. Great idea, Mary Berg. Okay, now into there, we're gonna make our wet mixture. So I've got that buttermilk in this little container, this type of buttermilk. I'm gonna add that into a bowl. If I used a bigger measuring cup, I could add everything into there as well. But I wanna add in some eggs. So the first thing I need is those 2 eggs. That's just gonna get mixed right in. That's gonna help bind everything together beautifully. Then I also like a little bit of butter in here as well. So I've got a 1/4 cup of melted butter. This one's melted and cooled. If you just melt it fresh and it's still really hot, as you pour it into that cool milk, it could kind of solidify. Not the end of the world, but not what we're going for. I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of vanilla extract, just about a teaspoon. I'm a free pourer though, so that was probably more like 2 teaspoons. I'm a frugal person in the kitchen, except for when it comes to vanilla extract. And then I'm like, whatever, and you throw it all in. But it's delicious. Vanilla is really, really great. It enhances the flavor of pretty much everything else to come. I love vanilla in things. Now I'm giving this a good mix up, just to get everything incorporated. And the reason I'm doing this in 2 different bowls is it's gonna make it so I don't have to develop too much gluten in this flour mixture. That way I'm getting all those eggs incorporated before it even hits that mixture, so I don't have to mix it too much. Because the next kind of hack for making pancakes or waffles is you do not wanna mix this batter more than you need to. You actually wanna leave it lumpy. This is really hard for all the perfectionists out there, so watch out, because you want it to look not good. So we're just gonna mix it just until it's almost fully combined, but not totally smooth. That's because that develops too much gluten and it also knocks out air bubbles. So you wanna be like quick and vigorous, but at this point, you stop. See, that was really hard for me. As you can tell, I'm kind of a perfectionist. So leaving lumps in this feels wrong, but the lumps are gonna make it so we're not knocking all of the air bubbles out that buttermilk and that baking soda and baking powder are producing, and we're not increasing gluten. So we're not gonna get tough waffles, we're not gonna get flat waffles, we're gonna get lovely, light, fluffy waffles with a crispy exterior. So that is looking fantastic. Over here, I have got my grill pan heating up. This is over about medium heat. Now a grill pan, typically you reserve this for burgers, for steaks, things like that, but this is gonna give those like craggles that are gonna fill with syrup and butter. So get a little bit of melted butter or some nonstick cooking spray. Give it a good brush because you want this to release really nicely. And then we're gonna go in with our batter. So I'm going in with about half a cup per waffle. So just scoop it out. Do you see all the bubbles still in that batter when I scoop it? That's what you're looking for. That means I did not overmix. Now right now, it's gonna look like I'm just making a pancake, but as this cooks up, you're gonna get those little craggles, those little rivets, and you're gonna get some beautiful, kinda sorta, grill pan waffles. I'm gonna keep cooking these. I'm gonna get this all done. We're gonna take a break, but when we come back, we're gonna finish these up and make some whipped cream, because duh. Now, these are kind of like a mix between a waffle and a pancake in the most beautiful way. Do you see? I flipped them over, and you get those little ridges. They are so crispy. It's actually kind of bananas how crispy, crunchy they are on top. All those little rivets are gonna give you all that little kind of like place for your butter and your syrup and all the good things to go. While these continue cooking on that second side though, I'm gonna make whipped cream because we're having waffles. So, you know, I truly don't think, like a pancake with whipped cream kind of doesn't make sense, but a waffle with whipped cream definitely makes sense. So I'm feeling good about this. Now, my first kind of tip or hack for when you're making whipped cream is you want everything to be cold. So if you can, put your bowl, put your beaters all in the fridge or freezer, just to make sure they're as cold as possible. Because when you're making whipped cream, you want to make sure it is cool. That's going to make sure that the fat in the cream and the whey in the cream don't split and separate as you whip it up. It's going to give you a better chance for a successful whipped cream, which is always a good idea. So what we're gonna do is make a stable whipped cream. So everyone's, I think, had a time where they've made like, you know, it's the summertime and you make that angel food cake, or you buy the angel food cake, and then you do the whipped cream on top. You try to get it prepped in advance, but then it gets weepy. It starts to get a little liquidy around the outside. It doesn't hold those beautiful peaks. I don't want that. I want something that's gonna hold up, something that you could almost pipe onto a cupcake or in between layers of a cake that won't just smush out the sides. So I've got a little bit of a trick for that. So the first thing I need though is about 1.5 cups of whipping cream, and you wanna use your high fat cream. 35% at least is gonna whip up. You can't whip cream that is a lower fat percentage because there's not enough fat in there to hold the air. So I'm going in with that 1.5 cups of cream, right on in. And then my hack to make it so this whipped cream doesn't get weepy and it stays nice and stable is this little guy, instant pudding. I know. It sounds kind of strange, but instant pudding is perfect. I'm using vanilla instant pudding because that's going to save on my vanilla budget because I blew that budget on those waffles earlier. But it's really, really great. So what's in instant pudding is skim milk powder. Skim milk powder adds more milk protein into the cream, and it increases the chance that that fat and whey aren't going to separate. It's going to give a little more elasticity and stability into those bubble structure when you whip it up, so you're good to go. Now, if you don't have instant pudding and for some reason you happen to have just skim milk powder, that will also work. You will need to add a little vanilla into there as well. This also has the addition of a little bit of starch, whether it's cornstarch. Oopsie. We dropped something in the back. Don't worry about it. A little bit of cornstarch in there, which is gonna help, again, stabilize this beautifully. Now, to sweeten this up a little, I'm going in with another tablespoon or two, maybe up to 4 tablespoons if you like things really sweet, of icing sugar. Icing sugar also has a little bit of cornstarch in it, so again, adding to the thickness, which is beautiful. Then what you wanna do is grab your beaters that are still nice and cold from the freezer, pop those in, and give this a whip. So I like to do a little bit of a stir first. You can kind of see that instant pudding already starting to kind of thicken up everything. So we're just gonna add that in. And when you're whipping cream, if you want it to hold peaks better and longer, always whip your cream on medium. If you do this on medium, it will just lead to a better bubble structure, so it won't be likely to pop. It's like really quickly blowing up a balloon versus taking your time. So just keep whipping that until a nice, lovely, soft, beautiful medium peak holds, just until it's kind of languishy. Once that's done, you're gonna have something that looks a little something like this. I'm not lying, look at that stable whipped cream. Okay, wait, I'm gonna do it. Are you guys ready? Do you know what I'm gonna do? Fingers crossed. Okay, we're gonna do a wide shot because we're doing something weird. Okay. That's stable whipped cream. Do not try that unless you put the pudding or the skim milk powder in there. Everyone backstage is like, oh God, hair makeup, very happy right now. All right, I've got the rest of those waffles in the oven just doing their thing, staying nice and warm. They look and smell so good. I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna grab the other waffles just out of the pan. Perfect, pop them right on. You can tell which ones I made in a hurry on television and which ones our lovely culinary crew helped make. And then we're just gonna plate these up. Now, when I'm doing waffles, I like a little bit of a stack. They are crispy, crunchy still, which is exactly what we're looking for. So just a little stack of a couple waffles right on there. Then we're gonna add on that beautiful whipped cream, which I love so, so much. Again, look at the stability of that. It almost looks like the whipped cream product that you buy in a tub. It is so creamy. It holds those bubbles. You can even see them in the bowl as I scoop it. Nice big dollop right on top. Some strawberries as well, because why not? It's breakfast. We gotta have fruit. You gotta have fruit. And then I'm going on with a little bit of that beautiful pure maple syrup. Does that not look like an absolute dream? Honestly, sometimes I'm very happy when I make breakfast because we are a morning show. And sometimes eating soup in the first thing in the morning, a little weird. Waffles are never a weird thing. Okay, let's give this a taste. They're crispy. That whipped cream is out of control. Let's give it a go. Oh. Get out of here, freezer waffles. Grill pan waffles are here to stay. We gotta take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hello, Charlotte.
Hi, Mary.
How's it going?
Really great.
You wore your nicest bow. I'm excited.
I did.
Okay, what's your question?
So I love brunch.
Oh yeah, who doesn't?
I love making eggs, but I've never poached an egg before.
Oh, okay.
So I would love to learn or try to learn how to poach an egg.
Okay, listen, Char, I am your girl. I'm feeling very excited about this. Now, Charlotte, I'm not just gonna teach you how to poach an egg. I'm also gonna teach everybody how to make the perfect Eggs Benedict. Does that sound okay? Now, any good Eggs Benedict obviously does start with a perfectly poached egg. Now, poached eggs can be a little tricky. I don't know if you're like me, but I grew up in the house where our poached eggs were in those little microwave cups. You know the things? And you stuck them in, you're like, technically, it's not poached. Technically, it's cooked, but it is not poached. So I'm gonna show you a couple tricks to make sure you get a perfect poached egg every single time. This is how my mom does it now too. It works so, so beautifully. So the first thing we've got over here is a pan of just simmering water. I like to use a high-sided skillet, and I just want it under a simmer. Now, with a simmer, what you're looking for, see these little bubbles right on the bottom of the pan? Maybe you can see them, but they're not breaking the surface. They're just kind of dancing on the bottom. That is the perfect temperature. You don't really want it to be a rolling boil because that's gonna overcook the eggs. Now, I like using a high-sided pan because it's wider. I can cook more eggs at the same time, and you don't really have to do that like vortex swirly method that you sometimes see like chefy people doing. Not what I'm looking for. Now, I've got a couple tricks to make your eggs not only taste better, but also kind of cook up better. So the first thing I'm gonna add into that water is some salt, just to give it a season, because just like when you're cooking pasta, that's gonna season those eggs as they cook. But I'm also gonna add in a little bit of vinegar. Just about a tablespoon of white vinegar is gonna kind of change the pH balance of the water, making it a little more acidic, and it's gonna make the egg whites kind of congeal a little, like they're gonna make them do this as opposed to stay kind of like, ugh, you know what I mean? So that's gonna be perfect. I'm gonna turn this, we're on about a medium, that's still looking perfect. So the water's looking great, but now we're gonna chat our eggs. So I have got some eggs over here. The trick with a poached egg is you wanna use the freshest egg you can find. If you're not sure how fresh your eggs are, that's totally fine. I've got a couple tricks here, but a fresher egg, the white, tends to be a little firmer. It isn't kind of watery. You know when you crack it into a pan for a fried egg, it doesn't spread out as much? That's a fresher egg. Because when eggs age, the egg white actually turns into kind of two different little bits. You get a thin part of the albumin, which is the white, and then a thick part. So what I like to do, just in case I don't have the freshest eggs ever, is I crack them into a fine mesh sieve and just give them a little bit of a jiggle. See all that white that's coming out in the bottom? That little bit of white down here, that's that thinner albumin. So that's just leaving me with the thicker, more kind of like tight little egg white bit, so it's gonna give you a perfectly shaped poached egg every single time. Now I'm just gonna bring this right on over to my water. Now, as promised, there's no swirling needed. If you want to swirl just for fun, feel free. But I'm just gonna kind of tip this little egg right on into the water. And that is gonna be a perfect little poached egg. Now, you don't have to really agitate it, just let it do its thing. I'm gonna crack one more and do one more egg, because it's very sad looking, one egg. One little egg in a pan. Honestly, all makes me wanna cry. That's a very sad little pan right there. So just give it a little bit of a wiggle to get most of that loose egg white out, leaving just that kind of firm bit. Bring that over, and again, just tip that right on into your pan. Again, because we put that vinegar in there and that salt, the salt's gonna season it, but you see how perfectly shaped those are? I didn't have to do anything. Those are gonna cook up beautifully. Now, for me, I like a 4-minute poached egg. If you like a little less, feel free to do like a 3-minute. You wanna use a timer, you can use your phone, or you can get a little egg timer. We have a pick of the litter right here. I'm gonna use this one, because I feel like it's looking good. Honestly, have I ever used this before? No. I put it at 4, but I put it at 4 during rehearsal and it hasn't moved. So You know what? We're gonna keep me honest. Don't worry. I've also got a little timer here, but then this is my friend Brenda's, which is very exciting. This is our culinary team's. And then this little baby right here is one of our producer Tara's, her 97-year-old grandpa. I do not want to break that, so we're just leaving him as a mascot for these beautiful poached eggs. See, that white is starting to kind of congeal and look beautiful. So basically, we're en route to a perfectly poached egg. I usually give them a flip about halfway through. You don't have to do that, but it gets it a more even cook. But now I'm gonna move on to the hollandaise. I know a lot of people think hollandaise is really, really tricky to make, because honestly, you only ever get it when you go out for brunch. But I hate waiting in line for eggs. It's my least favorite thing to do. I'll wait in line for a few things, but not eggs, not a thing. So I love to make hollandaise at home. So for this amount, for basically a serving for about 2, I like to go in with 2 egg yolks, just into a bowl. Give those a little bit of a beat together. And then you wanna add in something acidic. That's gonna help keep it creamy. So I'm going in with about a tablespoon of some freshly squeezed lemon juice. Try to use freshly squeezed here. Oops, we got a pip. Don't worry, I'm gonna get it out. Oh, we got 2 pips, don't worry. That's what spoons are for. Perfect. We don't want that. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, cool. Now, I'm also gonna go in with a little bit of cayenne pepper because I like that heat. It's not overly spicy. It's just gonna give a little bit of warmth. So just like a little pinch, maybe a little pinch more. Season that with some salt. And anytime you add salt into eggs, you wanna give it a whisk immediately. That salt kind of starts to cure the eggs, and you don't wanna end up with like a weird kind of sort of cooked bit of egg yolk in there. So give that a whisk just until it's nice and creamy looking. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna pop this over a bain-marie or a water bath. So in this pot here, I've got just about 1 inch or 2 of, again, simmering water. You don't want it overly hot. I'm gonna pop my heat-proof bowl. I like using glass because it's a little easier to control. If you use metal, it's a little more temperamental. And give it a bit of a whisk. You'll already kind of feel the eggs tightening up a little bit. Now here I have got 1/3 cup of hot melted butter. If you wanna take it to the next level, feel free to brown that butter. That's gonna give you delicious flavor. But what I'm gonna do is pour this butter in. Now this is almost like we're making butter mayonnaise, which is a very good thing. So just slowly, just start streaming this in. This is the only tricky part of this recipe, is you do wanna go slowly. But you see, we're already getting a little thicker. If things start seizing up a little too quickly, feel free to just remove that bowl from the heat, keep whisking it. If it starts kind of getting a little close to a scrambled egg, add a little drop of ice water. A few drops of ice water will bring it right back. It'll emulsify it beautifully. I'm gonna keep making this hollandaise because I'm working up a sweat, so we gotta go to a break. Now, before the break, we got to poaching these eggs. They are looking fantastic. I'm feeling very good. And this hollandaise is looking creamy and beautiful. Now, I would say this is on the thick side, but if that happens to you, I have got a trick to bring it back. So I'm just gonna set that aside right now, though, because I wanna get these eggs out of that water. Now, anytime I'm removing poached eggs from water, I like to get a little bit of paper towel just to kind of wick away any little bit of water that's on there. So I've got my English muffins already toasted. I'm gonna head back on over here. And I'm just gonna remove those eggs from that water. Never should this water boil. It should just be like a little bath, like a nice little calm bath. Now, I like putting the paper towel down because it helps wick away, again, that moisture. But I like to use a slotted spoon here. So just grab your slotted spoon. This is truly like the only thing I use a slotted spoon for. Usually I refuse, but aren't those the most perfectly shaped little eggs? Now, if you aren't bothered and don't want to give these a flip about halfway through, you could definitely just pop a lid on for maybe the last minute. That'll cook the tops, giving you that perfect little shape. These are so good. And the best thing about poached eggs is you actually could poach these in advance, slip them into some ice water. Looks kind of strange. It looks like you're doing a science experiment, not gonna lie. Pop them in your fridge and they'll keep. Then just reheat them in hot water and you are good to go. All right, I know, right? Not that anybody is ever making like eggs Benny for like 8 at home. Nobody's doing that, but you could if you wanted to. All right, so I've got my English muffins all toasted as well. I'm just gonna set these right over here. But now we're gonna return to this hollandaise. As it sits, it does tend to firm up. You can see it here. It's almost the texture of mayonnaise right now, which honestly looks delicious. I would spread this on a piece of toast and be very, very happy about it, but I wanna thin this out a little. So since I don't wanna stop the cooking process, I wanna keep things warm, I'm just gonna steal a little spoon of water from that little simmering water I did there and just whisk that right on in. That hot water will bring a little bit of heat. It'll loosen things up. If it starts to get a little too tight, you can always add in a little bit of ice water. Ice water, again, halts that process. So just depending on what the texture's doing, feel free to add a little bit of ice water, a little bit of hot water. It'll bring it all together. If you do accidentally scramble your hollandaise, ice water should bring it back. So don't worry. All is not lost. I love a good old glass of ice water. It's always good. All right, this is looking beautiful. Nice pourable consistency. Just adding drop by drop of that water just until it is beautiful and soft. See that? Went from mayonnaise into a sauce. All right, feeling good. Gonna add in a pinch of salt just to season it up. You can change it up if you want. Add a little bit of tarragon in there for more of a béarnaise sauce. Put it on your steak. No big deal. But now I've got everything I need to build these beautiful eggs Benny. But I need my friend Charlotte out here, because I don't know what you like on your eggs Benny. Come on out here, Charlotte. I'm so glad we wore blue today.
Me too.
I know. Okay, so I'm gonna start you off. Here's your English muffins.
Thank you.
Perfect. I'm gonna pop your little egg on there. Now, are you a ham or are you a smoked salmon gal?
I'm a classic ham.
Classic ham. You wanna start building your ham?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is a thrill. This is where you get to pile everything up. Sometimes I'll switch it up too at home, and as opposed to doing like an English muffin, I'll do a popover, maybe a nice bagel, a toast, something like that. Put that little egg right on top. They look kind of...
They look perfect.
Right? They're the most perfect size and shape. I'm going on with some salmon, not gonna lie.
Also delicious.
Also delish. There's always the Florentine one with the spinach. I only ever get that when I'm pretending I want to be healthy, but I want to just eat hollandaise sauce. Always a good thing. All right, and then we get that beautiful hollandaise, and all you do, even if your egg is not perfect, all you do is just spoon that beautiful hollandaise right over top.
God.
Doesn't that look?
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, Charlotte, I know you are like me and absolutely love a chive on an egg, so shall we scatter some chives on here?
Please.
Just really go for it.
Oh, yeah. Makes it just look so
Doesn't that look
fancy.
so fancy?
Well
oh, man.
done.
Okay, shall we go for it?
Yeah.
Okay, eating on TV, it's kind of scary, I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
I do it every day. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a cut. Let's see those eggs. Oh, look at that egg. Oh my gosh.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm just going in for egg and hollandaise, let's be honest. The rest is accoutrement right now.
Yeah.
She's getting it.
I got it.
She's going for it. Okay, shall we?
It is difficult.
I know, right? 1, 2, 3. So good, right?
So good.
Perfectly poached egg. Charlotte, what an absolute delight. I think you can do this.
I think I can make this.
You 100% can make this. I'm coming over when you do, not gonna lie. You truly cannot get any easier than the recipe I am about to make. I'm basically gonna make toast. What a thrill. But we're not just making any toast. We're gonna make fried cheese tomato toast. How does that sound? Honestly, I'm very excited about this. This I basically wanna eat on repeat for the rest of time. I'm thrilled about it. But unlike regular tomato toast, which is always delicious, I wanted to add that layer of fried cheese. But as opposed to like dredging and then frying the cheese like a mozzarella stick, I'm just gonna pan fry it. You know when you make like a grilled cheese sandwich and you put too much cheese on it and it spills out the side and you get that little crispy bit of cheese? That's kind of what I'm doing here. Or kind of like the edge of a pan pizza, that beautiful crispy cheese. So I've got a pan here over about medium heat. I'm using a non-stick pan. You could also do this in a cast iron skillet, just something that's a little less sticky. And I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of olive oil. That's gonna help that cheese obviously fry up, not stick, and it's gonna be an absolute dream. Now over here, I have some sliced mozzarella cheese. You could also do this with provolone if you wanted to, but I'm going sliced mozzarella. Now, I'm using low moisture mozzarella, AKA the stuff that you would grate and put on pizza, not the little balls of like bocconcini. That is a little bit too much moisture in it. I've sliced that into about 1/2 centimeter thick slices, because this is cheesy toast. Now, in the recipe, I do say 2 to 4 1/2 centimeter slices, and I clarified with our lovely culinary team that I did not mean 2 4.5 centimeter thick slices, because that would be wild. But we're just gonna add those right into the pan, into that beautiful oil, and we're just going to fry it until it melts and starts to get golden brown and crispy on the bottom. So that's gonna give you, you can already see it starting right here. You see that little bit of that frico, that crispy cheese starting? I don't want it to melt all the way through. I just want it to be a little bit oozy on top and crispy on the bottom, just for that texture and that melty combination. So while that cheese fries, which is an absolute delight, I'm gonna get to work on my tomatoes. Now I am gonna use heirloom tomatoes, because I love them right now. My friend Kyle is growing heirloom tomatoes, and he's doing a great job. I have never had success growing heirloom tomatoes, so if you have a Kyle in your life, feel free to steal his. But a grocery store always has them as well. Tomatoes are still looking absolutely beautiful right now. I'm gonna cut them nice and kind of thick, about the same thickness as that cheese. Now, when you're cutting an heirloom tomato, sometimes the actual kind of stem area, it branches out more than a classic hothouse tomato. That's okay, just cut around it and you'll be good to go. So just for a little bit of variety, we'll do 2 colors. Now, for the toast, I am just using some sourdough bread. Now, if you want to, you could obviously just use a regular old toaster, but I always tend to use my broiler. First off, I don't own a toaster, which I know is really weird. And I'm only realizing that right now because I'm saying it on live TV. Toasters are great, but I pretty much always use my broiler because it's always cooking and going. But I've got that nice and golden brown, but while your toast is still hot, so whether you've done it in a toaster or under the broiler, I want you to do something. Anytime you're making any type of tomato toast or a savory type of toast, grab a clove of garlic, just one little clove, maybe one that your friend Science Sam peeled for you, and just trim a little bit right off the end. You're not looking to cut the garlic or anything like that. You're just looking to expose that kind of inner part. Grab that little bit of exposed garlic and just rub it on that warm toast. What this is gonna do is give you this softest, most gentle, beautiful garlic flavor, almost giving you like instant garlic bread. Still gonna be a little bit punchy. It's gonna be absolutely beautiful. That's looking great. Now onto there, I'm gonna go on with a little bit of mustard. I've got some grainy Dijon. You could do regular if you want, but again, for texture, we absolutely love that. So I'm just gonna spread a little bit right on top. I go big on my mustard, clearly. If you are someone who must have mayonnaise on their tomato toast, feel free to add that as well. But honestly, the cheese gives you a little bit of that flavor, which is an absolute dream. All right, I'm gonna transfer these toasts onto their plates. Remove this. And then if you have any sort of nice fine herb growing in your garden still, feel free to use that. I've got some chives still kicking, which are looking absolutely beautiful. So I'm just gonna thinly slice up some chives just to go on top. But if you had basil, that would be great. A little bit of oregano would be delicious and make this really taste like a pizza. But just some nice thin chopped chives. And now let's go see, let's go see what's happening in that pan. Look at that. Like, can you even deal with how good that looks? You can see we've got a little bit of golden brown starting to happen. I might have put a little too much in, but basically you can see there's a little bit, see that golden? Do you see that? This is what you want it to look like, sloppy and delicious. So to serve this up, we're gonna bring this right on over. I'm gonna add some of that cheese. If you do this in a smaller pan, you can almost just pour that cheese down over top of that toast. We've got that golden brown, that melty cheese. Guys, again, this golden brownness right there, that's what you're looking for. That little bit of flavor, that golden brown cheese. Guys, I'm way too excited about this. I need to calm down because this is going to be lava hot, I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we've got that beautiful cheese down. I'm also gonna go on with some slices of tomato right over top, just to hold that down. Pop that over. Little bit of those chives right on there as well. It kind of looks like a classic tomato toast. You've got that beautiful Dijon. It kind of feels like you've got mayo, but secretly it's just melted cheese. Some flaky salt on those tomatoes is an absolute dream. Then we're gonna go on with some pepper. And then you get to dig in. Let's give it a taste. Okay, I'm thrilled. Here we go. That is my new favorite tomato toast. Give it a try. We gotta take a break, but we'll be right back. But I wanted to keep things really, really simple with a peach and almond tart.
Come on.
This is one of those desserts that looks harder than it actually is, which is my dream dessert. This is a really good one if you get it all prepped ahead and you pop it in the oven while you're eating dinner. You get to be like, oh, I made dessert, which is a dream. Always a good thing. All right, so the first thing we need to do is get to work on kind of sort of a frangipan. And a frangipan is essentially what you get on the inside of an almond croissant when you're eating it. That kind of fudgy almond paste. It's super delicious. And in my world, when I'm making frangipan, if it looks kind of weird, you're doing it right. Basically, it's not quite a cookie dough. It's not quite a cake batter. It's somewhere in the middle. So the first thing we need is a 1/4 cup of room temperature butter. If you've got salted, use salted. If you got unsalted, use unsalted. Honestly, it's not gonna make a difference. Into there, I'm going in with a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, I'm using white sugar. If you've got brown sugar, feel free to use that. This is a very, as you can tell, rough and tumble recipe. Do what you want, it'll be great. So in with that 1/4 cup of sugar as well. I'm just gonna give this a little bit of a blitz just to combine. Now, when you are creaming something, typically what you're doing is you're trying to beat butter and sugar together to incorporate air and to kind of break down those sugar granules. But to be honest, I don't worry too much about creaming this frangipane because I'm not really making a frangipane. It's kind of just a spread to go on top. So to be honest, this looks good to me. So into there, I'm gonna go in with an egg. So just one large egg getting cracked right on in. Is everyone a counter cracker?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then for those not in the know, it means we crack the egg on the counter as opposed to the side of the bowl. Side of the bowl, I'm always convinced it's gonna send the eggshells right on in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always chance it.
Yeah. And can anyone do a one-hander?
I can't.
On a good day.
Anna was just so humble there.
kind of egg cracking.
Yeah. Anna just went. That was amazing. It's like asking like Michael Jordan if he can like get a ball in the hoop. Yeah.
whatever.
All right, now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of almond extract, about half a teaspoon. If you are not someone who's confident on free pouring extracts, definitely measure almond because it's a lot stronger. So you'd want to measure that half teaspoon. I like to live dangerously when it comes to extracts. Then we're gonna go in with half a or a full teaspoon of vanilla extract. It's all gonna be good. It's gonna come out in the wash. Now I'm gonna give that a little blitz just to combine, just until it looks a little bit creamy and that butter's broken down a bit. Again, this is a frangipane, so as opposed to having a lot of flour in it, we actually use mainly almond flour. So if your butter's still looking a little chunky like this at this moment, that's totally fine. It will mix together once, right? You smell that almond?
Almond. Yeah.
Almond
I
is
love
so
almond.
good, I know. And almond and stone fruits go together
Yeah.
so beautifully. So into there, we're gonna start adding in our dry ingredients. So the first thing I need is some almond flour. Now, almond flour, you can get it in the health food section often, or at a bulk food store. You need 3/4 of a cup of that. It's just ground up almonds.
Or a wholesale store.
Or a wholesale store.
Yes.
Vagina, I love a wholesale store.
I do.
We talk about wholesale stores most of the time when we're together.
It's true.
It's great. Then I'm gonna go in with 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. If you wanted to make this kind of gluten-free, you could use a gluten-free blend. That would work perfectly. Little bit of salt, just to kind of counteract that sugar, about a 1/4 teaspoon. Gonna go in with a little bit of cinnamon as well, just about half a teaspoon. And then if you wanted to here, you could go in with a little ginger. You could go in with clove if you're looking a little festive. You could also go in with your shirt nutmeg if you want.
What?
Where was that,
is-
Mary?
Listen, guys, there's no rockets today.
Or a little orange liqueur.
A little orange liqueur.
Brandy.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna get this mixed up just until it's combined. And again, it comes together lickety-split, just like that. That's literally all we need to do, and that's basically kind of a frangipane. So all I need to do now is get to work on the peaches. So I'm using peaches. If you can't find good peaches, you could use nectarines, you could use plums, you could use cherries, whatever you can find. Just about 3 cups. Go right on into my bowl. I'm gonna season those with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, perhaps some more nutmeg. While I get these mixing though, we're gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna put this tart together. Over the break, I mixed some peaches with just 2 tablespoons of sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and a little bit of nutmeg. And what I did was I got a couple of sheets of frozen puff pastry. I'm not gonna ask you to make puff pastry. If you're looking for a good puff pastry or rough puff recipe, Anna Olson is your girl.
Anna.
You go over there,
What
yeah.
I buy just a good butter puff pastry.
100%.
Most of the time.
It's in the freezer section. You thaw it in your fridge. Super, super simple. Now, I did double mine up because I do like a lot of pastry. So I've got those laid out, and then I spread that frangipane on top. Now, all I need to do is pop those peaches on. You can arrange them nicely if you're feeling it, but I just go for a big ol'.
Yeah, I like that better. Who has
Yeah.
time to like arrange
100%.
it? Too precious.
Too precious, and if people feel scared to eat it. I like it when it looks a little like rough and tumble, you know?
Well, and we were just talking about how September is the best time for peaches because they're the free stones.
Yes.
So they're easy to remove the pit.
You're not fighting with that pit. Oh my gosh, preach. I love it. All right, now I'm gonna go on with a little bit of some sliced almonds. That's just gonna hint to the fact that there's that almond frangipane underneath. Now this needs to go into a 400-degree oven. On the bottom rack, I like the bottom rack because it's gonna give a good crispy bottom. And this needs anywhere from, I say in the recipe, 30 minutes to 40 minutes. But to be honest, if you pop that in for 20, it'll still be good. Like, it'll be cooked enough to eat. If you go in for longer than that 40 minutes, again, it will still be delicious and tasty. This is a while you eat dinner tart. You pop it in before you serve dinner, and then you end up with something that looks like that. Super tasty. I can't actually remember what I say the serving portions. Yes. I was like, I think I say 8, but it's 4. Let's be honest.
Let's be real.
So I'm gonna chop this up. And again, since we did those beautiful 2 layers of puff pastry, you've got a bit more sturdiness on the bottom. So this is what I would consider hand pie, which is always a good thing. So I'm gonna do this.
That's a big piece.
That's a big Listen, guys, we're doing it. All right, does anybody want a little ice cream on there? Are we gonna go?
yes.
Okay. A little vanilla ice cream right on top, especially when it's hot out of the oven.
Come on now.
As it melts down, what an absolute dream. All right, hand pie for Vijaya. You know what,
Yeah.
Andrew, would you mind ice creaming everybody?
I'll do it.
Okay, love
Yeah.
it. This is so great.
you.
Again,
Here you go.
with whatever fruits you have, this is also really nice. The almonds, if you do, or if you switch out the ground almonds for ground pecans and do apples on top. Ooh,
Beautiful.
Really
that's a
versatile,
good
right?
call.
Yeah.
Super versatile. Absolutely delicious. Gals, this has been really fun.
Fun.
I've been having a great time
Here.
celebrating summer's bounty.
Yeah.
Here,
I'm
girl.
just clearly going pizza vibes.
I think we are too, because we don't have spoons or forks.
good.
So here we
Yeah,
go.
Pizza vibes, everybody. Well, cheers to you. Thank you so much for doing this. We're gonna bake up a delicious coffee cake with 2 of the season's most iconic flavors. We're talking apple and pecan. How does that sound? Yeah. I love a coffee cake. It's so good. It's delicious. Also, the term coffee cake, in my mind, means that you can eat it literally any time of day. It's a breakfast cake, so always good, definitely good for first thing in the morning. So the first thing we wanna do is get to work on the batter for this coffee cake. Now in this bowl here, I have got half a cup of butter that I've creamed together with half a cup of white sugar and half a cup of brown sugar. I love the flavor of brown sugar. The combination of the two is really, really great because the white sugar gives you that kind of crispy topping, that crispy edge, where the brown sugar gives you that flavor of molasses, which I absolutely love. Now, if you do not have brown sugar, or you go into your brown sugar container and it is the texture of a rock. You can actually make your own. You just do about a cup of white sugar to about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, depending on how dark you want your brown sugar, of molasses. So that container of molasses you had from last Christmas comes in handy now. All right, now into there we're gonna go in with some eggs. Now I'm gonna go in with 2 eggs, but anytime I'm adding eggs into a mixture that is fatty, something like this butter mixture, you actually wanna go one at a time. Because similar to making something like a salad dressing, we're mixing something that's really, really watery, the egg, with something that's really, really fatty. So that is gonna help everything kind of emulsify together. That egg yolk is gonna help as well. Looking absolutely beautiful. Also, dream, so excited. Second egg is gonna go in. Now, this is a really basic coffee cake recipe that you can use and flavor however you want. We're gonna do a nice kind of plain vanilla-y cake batter, and then just do that streusel layer with the apple and that cinnamon and that beautiful pecan. But if you wanted to, you could totally add spices into this as well. All right, that's looking absolutely stunning. Now into there, we're gonna go in with that vanilla extract. I like about 1.5 teaspoons. That's half a tablespoon for anybody who wants to know. But if you want to, measure it. I am a free pourer. This and my phone battery are how I live on the edge. My phone battery is always at 10%, and I'm like, what's gonna happen, everybody? Let's do it. All right, give that a mix to combine. Perfect. And then the secret ingredient in any of my coffee cake batters is a little bit of either yogurt or sour cream. So I've got a cup of plain yogurt here. You don't necessarily want to use light yogurt. I'm using regular kind of like Balkan style yogurt, the one that's not too thick. If you just had Greek yogurt though, or skyr, that would work as well. So would sour cream. What this is gonna do is it's gonna add a ton of moisture, a little bit of tang, and it's gonna help the baking powder and baking soda react, giving you a fluffier cake. So give that a good mix to combine. Looking beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love baking. As soon as it gets cold out, I'm like, here we go, let's do this thing. All right, that's looking great. Now we're gonna do the dry ingredients. So into a separate bowl, I'm gonna go in with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Anytime you're making a cake, all-purpose flour is the way to go. Gives you a nice light creme. So I'm gonna go right on in. You would think cake and pastry flour is what you wanna use, but definitely not on a coffee cake. You want it to be a little bit dense. Perfect. Now into there, I'm gonna go in with 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Perfect. Baking powder is great. Baking powder reacts twice. It reacts once when it hits a little bit of something acidic, something like that yogurt, but it reacts again once it hits the heat of the oven, giving you kind of a double puff. But for a real good kickstart, we're also gonna go in with a teaspoon of baking soda. That does that classic volcano effect when it hits something acidic. So like that yogurt, it's gonna give that initial puff, giving you lots of bubbles, which is gonna be great. A little bit of salt just to counterbalance all that sugar, about half a teaspoon of that. Give that a whisk to combine. And that is looking absolutely beautiful. Okay, now, dry goes into wet. And this is actually a pretty thick batter. It is not super pourable and cakey. It gives you a really nice texture. So just mix it just until combined. I always like to do dry into wet when I'm doing cake. Honestly, I don't really know why, but it is the way Nana did it, so it's the way that I do it, am I right? You know. All right, and as you can see, it's a really kind of stiff batter, but this is gonna give you really nice bubbles. It's gonna give you really nice structure as well, and it almost gives it a bit of like a muffiny texture, which is a dream. All right, that is looking perfect, just until all of that flour is combined. And I'm just gonna set that aside while I work on that streusel layer. Now, for the streusel layer, this is like the best part of coffee cake. It's the little like crunchers in the middle and on top. So, so tasty. So we're gonna go in with half a cup of brown sugar. The brown sugar, again, gives you that molasses flavor, super, super tasty. Then I'm gonna go in with half a cup of all-purpose flour. Now, a lot of times you'll see a coffee cake batter recipe or coffee cake recipe, and it will tell you to use like 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, maybe 2 tablespoons of flour. I like a thick layer. So much better. You're not putting icing on it. It's basically the decoration, so we're gonna be good to go. All right, that's gonna go in. Then I'm gonna go in with a full tablespoon of cinnamon. This is where we get all of that fall flavor. If you want, you can add in pumpkin spice if that's your bag, but I absolutely love cinnamon, apples, and pecans together, so that's gonna be perfect. Season that up just to balance it out with a little bit of salt, about half a teaspoon of that. Give that a whisk to combine. Perfect. Now the addition of the flour in there is gonna help this clump up because you want those little nuggets of that beautiful streusel. But before I add in the butter, we're gonna go in with our pecans. So I've got about 3/4 of a cup of chopped pecans here. If you don't like pecans, you could do walnuts, you could do almonds, you could totally leave them out, but they add a really nice crunch in there, which is a total dream. Give that a mix to combine. And then in goes the beautiful butter. Now this uses 1/3 of a cup of melted butter. My mom used to buy this coffee cake blend or mix from the grocery store. And my favorite job was always mixing up the streusel layer because you do it in like a zip top bag and just kind of crumble it around. It was really, really great. This one makes about 8 times that amount. Because again, I know myself well enough to know that this is my favorite part of the cake. You want it to be a little bit crumbly though. If all of that flour mixture doesn't dissolve in, honestly, that's gonna be fine. The moisture from the cake batter is gonna kind of help cook that down and moisten it up. But you're looking for this beautiful texture. Now, in addition to those pecans, to that cinnamon, I did promise you apples, because it is apple picking season. And if you've gone apple picking, you're gonna be like Mary Berg. What do I do with all these apples? This is what you do with one of them. I've chopped up 1 apple, just peeled it, chopped it. You don't have to peel it if you don't want to. Just a good baking apple. Perfect. Add that on in. Give that a stir. And that's gonna give you like juicy little pops as well. Bring a little bit more moisture into the mix. All right, now come take a look at this batter. Because we have that beautiful yogurt in there, which is nice and acidic, and we have that baking powder and baking soda, look at the amount of bubbles and fluffiness going on in that batter. That is so much texture, it's gonna be beautiful. So I have got a bundt pan over here that I've just sprayed with a little bit of nonstick cooking spray. So I'm gonna go in with about half of that batter right into the bottom. It's gonna feel like it's not enough. Don't overfill. Because what's gonna happen is as this bakes, the layer of streusel that's in the middle is gonna kind of rise up, get pushed up by all those bubbles. So just do a nice thin layer right along the bottom. Perfect. Scatter on half of that streusel. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. And again, a thick layer of streusel. Then I'm just gonna keep assembling this. We're gonna take a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna eat this cake and I'm pumped about it. Now, I like that layer in the middle, and then I also like it on top. Now, I am baking mine in a bundt pan. If you don't have a bundt pan, you can do this in a square or rectangular pan. That will work absolutely perfectly as well. I just like the bundt because you get more of that golden brown edge. That top is so nice. It looks beautiful. What a star. Now, I've got the rest of this streusel here, and I'm just gonna scatter this over top. We've got those beautiful apples in there. If you are still trying to hold on to the last days of summer, you could swap out the apples for a little bit of peach. That would be really, really nice. Maybe pop a little bit of coconut in there. You're kind of feeling a little bit more, summery, but again, I am a fall girl through and through. Boy, I don't like sweating, so this is my season. All right, so we're just gonna pop that right on top to give you that beautiful layer. Now, I wanna bake this in a 350-degree oven. This takes about 50 minutes to an hour to bake. It's a good long time, but it's gonna be absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna pop that in just on the center rack. and let that do its thing. Then you take it out of the oven, you set it aside to cool pretty much completely. When you're doing a bundt, you really want it to hold that shape. As your cake is cooling, basically what's happening is the starches or the gelatin in the actual flour starts to grab onto each other, building a little structure, making it so that cake won't fall apart. If you've ever had an issue turning your cake out and it falls apart, maybe it was still a little bit too warm, so everything hadn't like grabbed onto its buddy yet. But to serve this cake, typically when you're doing a bundt, you often serve it actually upside down. You want this nice rounded side on the top. I don't want to do that. Look at this streusel. That you want as the star of the show. I'm very excited. So we have to do some acrobats, I'm not gonna lie. Acrobatics, get your plate, turn it over. This is the stunt plate. We're not actually serving on this plate. We're gonna give it a confident flip. 3, 2, 1. Pretty good. You just have to be confident. Then you do one of these for a little bit of good measure, just to make sure it came out. There we go. Beautiful. Now again, if you wanted to, or you were serving a cake that didn't have that streusel layer on the other side, you would just serve it like this, a little bit of glaze on there, absolutely beautiful. But we're just gonna make things extra difficult on me on live TV. We're gonna do one of these, pop the cake pedestal on top, and then another, very confident, very quick, 3, 2, 1, flip. Okay. Beautiful. What a star. Listen, if you wanted to, you could easily dust this with a little bit of icing sugar or some icing sugar mixed with some cinnamon. You could do a little cream cheese glaze on there. But to me, the thing that really keeps this as a coffee cake is just having it as is. You just give it a little bit of a slice through that beautiful mixture. All those pecans. This is like celebration of fall, 100%. Look at the layer. Can you see that? Oh my gosh.